Welcome, everyone. Episode 306 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pantellaresco. I write stuff in Podcast 2. Today, Mark Leslie returns to the podcast. I always like talking to Mark at When Words Collide. Mark is one of the smartest, he's one of the most interesting dudes in the writing industry. He's come at it from a whole bunch of different angles. Really smart, insightful guy. And he's always a fascinating conversation. And I always usually get this opportunity to pick his brain for like an hour every conference. And I'm really flattered he lets me do that. And so I always consider him a bit of a good luck charm. He's always usually my final interview at When Words Collide. Usually. But I thought I'd air this one now because it's a really cool conversation. I always enjoy it. Hopefully you don't look at small talk the same way again. Beyond all that, well, it's by the time this airs, I will be in another location, kind of enjoying my last few days in Calgary. I gotta tell you, right now it's snow and minus 10 outside. I'm not gonna miss this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna miss this at all. I'm really looking forward to the nicer weather in British Columbia. Calgary needs some work. You know, and sometimes it's a very bipolar month in October. As I actually call this month Bipolar October. It fits in more ways than one. But anyway, let's get to that conversation, shall we?
Think you have what it takes? Get your ass to Mars. Gaiatim is a simulation game in which you arrive on Mars ahead of the colonists about to settle into this new home. Until they arrive, you have to survive, facing limited resources and a brand new world filled with unexpected challenges. Can you establish what the colonists need to survive? Or will Mars get the better of you? Gaiatim, the Dragon Edition, launches this November, courtesy of Indie Imprint on Steam and Windows. Check out indieimprint.com for more information.
I am with Mark Leslie. Mark is kind of one of my favorite guests to actually close my When Words Collide experience with every year. It's been always fun to have a little chat with him every time. So how's it been this year for you?
It's been absolutely amazing. I mean, this is, again, one of the premier conferences that I'm privileged that I get to go to every year.
Yeah. So what did you do? Did you do anything different than this year than previous years?
Well, this year I did the Pick Mark's Brain sessions. So I did 3 one-hour sessions, like 20 minutes each, where people could just, because I'm available and I want people to know that I'm here. And if you see me in the hall, unless I'm on my way somewhere where I have an appointment or I have to be on a panel or do a presentation, I'm here to talk to people. I'm here to be inspired by people, but also to share and chat with them. And I want people to know I'm approachable. So I specifically book these times because sometimes that doesn't happen, or people don't, they may be introverts like me, so they don't want to approach me. So this gives them an opportunity to sit down with me because it's dedicated time.
No, it's permission, right? It's permission to actually talk to you, which I understand. I no longer have that concern anymore because I just interview people. Hey, you want to come on my podcast? Let's do it. Yeah. But no, it's intimidating the first time you meet somebody that is well known or is very knowledgeable. Even though you are totally willing to help anybody, not everybody feels that way the first time. Not because of anything you did, but because of the fact that their own is like, I don't know if he'll want to talk to me. I don't know, like this, right? And so what you're doing here is just
I still have that too. I mean, there are folks I want to talk to, and I'm like, well, I don't want to bother them.
Really?
But of course, yeah, all the time.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've had to destroy that concept and say because for me, like getting guests, like I've been very fortunate in the last little bit. I've gotten to know some more well-known people, and I've learned like the value of just asking. Right, because the value of just asking. It doesn't mean I'm disrespectful when I approach somebody. Far from it, I'll go, excuse me, my name is Josh. I do a podcast. I was wondering if you'd be interested in doing it. And they go, well, what's your podcast about? And then I go through the spiel. But I do it in a way. I've learned that every person I meet is an opportunity. Right, I've learned that, and if I don't take the time to just introduce myself, to say hi, I don't know where that would actually lead.
Right.
And so I've learned that. So it's how I got you get to interview Spider. It's how I got to interview Kelly Armstrong. That's how I've gotten to interview some of the other people I've gotten to interview. Just like, you know what, I'm asking. If they tell me no, well, I am exactly where I already am. Yeah. So. It's something I had to train myself to do because Otherwise, I would not have gotten to meet people like yourself. But two, it's just I found that you actually have to have a certain degree of boldness when you do anything. So I had to give myself permission to go, you know what, just go for it.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's weird to me because you come off like you're an incredibly confident guy.
Not at all.
Not at all?
No, not at all. It's a persona. It's just something you have to project. It's part of stage presence.
Stage presence.
Or whatever. I'm very shy. I'm meek. And I know I don't look meek, and I'm very introverted. So I'm more comfortable on stage, presenting what I know people want or need, than I am walking into a room and trying to make small talk and mingle. Because I love people, and if anyone approaches me, I'm more than willing to talk to anyone who comes up to me. But I'm not, again, the confidence to actually reach out to people. Now I'm trying to train myself, because I ask people to reach out to me all the time, and I realize, well, how can I ask them to do that if I can't even do it? So I have done the thing where I've said, I really like so-and-so's whatever. I've never talked to them. I'm just going to go and introduce myself and tell them, you know what, I really like that book you wrote, that article I heard you on a podcast, whatever. In the same way that you have that boldness and you say, I'm just going to try it. What's the worst that can happen? If they're a jerk and they push me away, well, it says more about them than it does about me. Right?
Actually, would you like a piece of advice?
Yes, I would. I'm always looking for advice.
Or no, about particularly approaching people.
Yeah.
No small talk.
Okay.
No, because here's the thing. Outside of hello and how are you, which is just being very polite and introducing yourself, right? Nobody, you hear, actually even how are you? How are you to me is actually the worst question to ask somebody, because nobody tells you the truth. If you say fine or good, what is fine? What is good?
Right.
I actually don't know what's going on in your head, what you're going through in that moment. Right? So what I try to do, actually, because again, I'm an interviewer at heart. I actually look at somebody and go, well, what do you want? Right? And not like in a terrible way. I just ask them, like, what do you want? They go, well, what do you mean, what do you want? It's like, what do you want in your life right now? Like, what are you going for? And then suddenly they open up they talk about a desire. Maybe it's a small desire. Maybe it's, I want ice cream. Now, maybe it's something as simple as that.
That's not a small desire.
No, it's not.
Ice cream can be life-changing.
I actually, on a personal note, I've never met somebody I believe that says they don't like ice cream. I think they're a liar when they say that.
Okay.
Because
you're going to question them on that and give them a hard time.
Absolutely, because here's the thing. I can understand you not liking a flavor of ice cream.
That's true, because when you say ice cream, that's like a whole world.
Yeah, exactly. So you might not like vanilla. I mean, that might not be your thing. But I bet you like Rocky Road. If you don't like Rocky Road, you're going to like a strawberry, or you're going to like I just don't believe you, right? I just don't, right? And for my case, it's ice cream with Baileys. It's a fantastic little combination. It feels really good after a long day.
It is a wonderful combination.
Yes, it is. It is a really wonderful combination.
Ice cream with creme de menthe as well is really
yes. Some flavors better than others, though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, some flavors better than others. But
root beer liqueur on ice cream.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, you're awesome. That sounds actually amazing. But no, I've eliminated like small talk. I don't talk about sports teams. I don't talk about like little.
What is sport?
It's that thing that other people. It's that discipline that other people do. That's not kind of like art, but it's not.
Okay.
But yeah,
it involves a field or
a ball or something like that. Something like that.
I've heard of this
sport
you speak of.
Yes, we've all said that, right? But I find like you eliminate small. It's when you eliminate small talk, what happens is actually it adds to your confidence. It doesn't take it away, because now you're talking about stuff that genuinely matters to that person in that moment. So now what you're doing is you're actually establishing a more, intimate might be quite the right word, but it's a closer connection to that person. Because if you keep it at surface level stuff, like how are you, what's your favorite, sweater, whatever random empty question you ask somebody, there's no actual connection there. But now I know what you want. I know what drives you. I know what pushes you, right? No, they don't want to always just ask what you want. That's how I do it. Right. But questions that are relevant to the person, right? That you actually get the chance to get inside the person's head and know them. Now the barrier is gone. It's just you and that person.
So along those lines, then potentially at a conference like this, when I walk up to someone, I could go, "Hey, Josh, what's the most interesting thing that happened to you today?"
Yeah, and I would say today I had the opportunity to, actually it's a tie. I got to make MJ and Colette and Tammy Lynn Carville cry. I've been going around this weekend because I'm moving to BC sometime before the year's up.
Right.
I remember the importance, like for me, I'm a big believer in gratitude. I remember when I was in Arizona, I was starving. And I wasn't aware of this at the time. But there was a lot of people helping me with the little things. When you're looking at the big picture stuff, sometimes you feel like you're completely alone. But if you're actually really honest with yourself and you're looking at the little things, people are helping you all the time without actually, you may not even realize it at the time, right?
Yeah.
So it taught me, so years later, when I finally was over my anger over everything that happened, I recognized the fact that no one owed me anything. And that anyone that goes out of their way to help me in any way, shape, or form, I should be thankful for. So we have a great community in Calgary, and I've gotten some amazing opportunities just doing this with a lot of people here. So I've been very quietly this weekend because everybody is here going around to those people and saying thank you. And the reactions have been incredible because so Susan Forrest nearly cried. MJ and Colette nearly cried, right? Because it's like, thank me for what? I've done nothing. No, it's not true. You have.
Right.
It's a little thing. People do not, I think, fully realize how much they appreciate being appreciated.
Yeah.
Even if again, it doesn't have to be big things. It's little things.
Yeah.
That has been my goal this weekend, has been to make an impact everywhere I go. That's my goal, no more, no less. Right? By and large, I think I've succeeded just based on the reactions I've gotten. And I've been able to say it's just what everybody I've wanted to this weekend, so that is the most interesting thing that happened to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
And see what that just did?
Yeah, we didn't just talk about how it's sunny now and it was rainy before.
Exactly. But also you got a closer understanding of me.
Right.
Because I now know that I value gratitude.
Right.
And how I chose to express it is a way that's very unique even to a lot of other people, because I actually went out and said thank you. So you learned something about me. And
that's a meaningful conversation we had that would actually be something I remember, as opposed to us talking about the weather or the Raptors.
Exactly, right? That's the secret. Like, a lot of people think small talk in small dosages is okay, especially if you're trying to find that point of interest that you're sharing with somebody.
Yeah.
But once you have that point of interest, you have to ditch the small talk.
Yeah, and get into and what you said made me reflect on that. People often have no idea how they might have positively impacted others, and they very rarely find out. And what you did is you took that and you wanted to make sure they knew that they made a difference in your life, a positive difference.
Yes.
No matter how big, no matter how small, that meant something important to you.
Yes.
And it goes back to, I think, was it Maya Angelou or Toni Morrison, who said people will not remember what you told them, they will remember how you made them feel.
Yes.
Because that gets to the heart of you as a person and an underlying connection that people have with one another.
Yeah.
And what you did is you reaffirmed that connection by taking the time to acknowledge something that goes by often so many times, and nobody ever takes the time to acknowledge it. And that meant something to them.
Absolutely.
So,
every single one of them.
And that's powerful.
Yeah, very, very much. I remember, I have 8 rules to success. That's my 7th rule. Be grateful, be charitable. I'm giving something too. Yeah. All right, and not just an affirmation of their appreciation, but also giving them make sure that they realize that they matter.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't know. I don't claim I have the biggest fan base here. I do think I've become successful doing this. I think I can say that with all confidence. But to say that I'm at the pinnacle of success that some of the other people here would be absurd, right? But I've learned that the real way to make an impact and build an audience is to be genuine with your audience, and to show that you care.
Yeah.
Because if you show that you don't care, sooner or later you're going to lose those connections.
Yeah. It's fleeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But you're constantly making me think about think about things, which is setting me off track because you're saying something. I'm like, oh, that makes me think about something, and now I've lost.
No, but that's okay. That's go.
But there's value there because you're allowing me to reflect in a deeper way, and that in itself is valuable because the questions, the thought-provoking examples, right, are critical. I think one of the things that you inspired in me was a fictional character that I adore, Michael Connelly's Harry Bosch.
Yeah.
His philosophy as a detective is everyone matters or nobody matters.
Absolutely.
And I've tried to apply that to my own experience in this industry and in life, is that I'm at this conference and I may have been a guest of honor and I may be on a panel and there may be somebody here who was their first time and they've never sold a story, they've never sold a book, they've never been on a panel. I believe they have just as much to teach me as I have to teach them. And so in that very same regard, everyone matters or nobody matters. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter who the personality is, a New York Times best-selling author versus me. We both have something valuable. You have something valuable. That person who's coming in and really seeks to learn, they can teach me just as much. Mm-hmm. Everyone has that value. And that's something that you've prompted to bring back out in me and remind me that that's critical. That's why I actually value when somebody comes and talks to me. I'm probably going to learn from them, whether they know it or not.
It's the absolute truth. I'll throw two questions up rhetorical about me. Yeah. Why do you think my podcast, I interview also as many beginning authors as I interview established authors?
Well, I think because the other thing too is that lets them know in a very subtle fashion and a not so subtle fashion that they matter.
Yes.
That their experience is just as rich and genuine as Stephen King's.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because we've all started on something at some time. We all started tabula rasa, no matter it was writing or getting on a bicycle or going to school or learning a new language or moving to a new city or making new friends. It's universal. And so you're reminding them that where they are on the journey is just as valuable as when they've made it to the top of the mountain, mm-hmm. Right? So
and
that's critical.
And that's newbie's perspective. The guys that are really established perspective is twofold. It's that I'm also telling them the same thing. No matter how big you've gotten, right? And in some ways, you're no different than the people that get.
Oh, and I've been in this industry for 25, 30 years somewhere, and I'm learning just as much today as I was on the first day I started.
Yeah.
And the day you stop learning and the day you stop being open to learning new things and being willing to listen and understand different perspectives, you've stopped growing as an individual and you've stopped growing as a professional.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that you're teaching them is that you can learn from the big names and the success stories and the people who are at the top of the mountain. You can learn with the people who are on their journey, and you can learn from those who are just about to begin.
Yes, and they're all valuable lessons.
Exactly.
And the thing, and actually, what I love is what they all have in common, and that is this passion. The people that stay successful. Because I think I look at Jonas Saul as a good example of this, right? He is hitting heights that I think very few authors ever hit, and it's amazing to watch his rise. It's cool, right? I'm going to kick his butt in Frisbee someday. But that's right, Jonas, it's on. But the thing about it that's really cool with him is, and he taught me something very valuable this weekend too, because I've started to see successes in the last year, and I understood. He said to me once, I haven't accomplished anything. I didn't fully understand that until I accomplished something.
Right.
He's absolutely right. And that attitude gives him his passion to keep going. When I look at someone like Vonda Lee, who's killing it right now, she has that same mentality. I look at someone like Kat Flannery, who's freaking cool. I had a blast meeting her this weekend. Same thing. Like, there's that drive, that passion just to be there, and somehow I think the real challenge to getting to the mountaintop of success is maintaining that passion from start to finish,
Right.
Because a lot of things in life try to beat that out of you.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
And that's part of the patience factor, of the long-term game of thinking about not just that moment, which can be a high or a low, and just as much as when it's a bad thing, to remember that there's going to be sunny days, but when it's a good thing, that there are also going to be bad days.
Yes.
And that life is a beautiful medley of both of them.
Yeah.
And it's how you interact within those moments on both the high and the low that probably speak more to your overall well-being, but also your overall persona, right? Because you can always be too much of an optimist or too much of a pessimist or whatever. You know?
Yeah, it's funny. I had this interesting thought. I don't know what a realist is. I actually had this thought about a few years back, and I still, like, the more I think about that, the more I really, because I don't get life. I am going to admit this. Life is the most absurd thing I've ever seen.
That's the most real thing you've said.
Yeah, probably. It's the most absurd thing I've ever seen. We live in a world.
Sounds like realism to me.
Kinda. I don't know if this is real. This is just what I've observed. I don't know if it might change on me, right? But the idea that like, it's so absurd. Like, so many things are possible. It's bigger than I can ever really hope to understand it. So if I can't really hope to understand it, what the hell do I know real is, right? Yeah. If someone came to me literally today and said to me, you know what, I'm summoning a dragon in my backyard, I don't know if I would disbelieve them. I'd just be like, you know what? Cool, keep it in the backyard, right? What else can I say, right?
Yeah.
Right, it's that kind. We live in a really, really, really. I feel like it's a really magical world. I think optimism. I think accepting the possibility of failure is a necessity. It's healthy.
Right. Of course.
But I think that's as much pessimism as I have in me. Yeah. I don't know if I could be actually any more pessimistic than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just me. That's just me.
Yeah, but that's the way that you approach things.
Yes.
That's your unique perspective on reality.
Yes.
If you want to call it that.
Whatever
whatever reality you happen to be subscribed to right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just know 42. 40. How about that? We can sure. We'll agree on 42?
That works.
All right, it totally works.
A great man wrote that one.
Yeah. Oh, very, very much so. And I think he was more right than he was wrong.
Yeah, about life, the universe, everything.
Yeah. Totally. Oh, man. So what have you been working on this year?
Not as much writing as I was hoping to get done. I did a couple nonfiction books. So I did the 7 P's of Publishing Success. I did Killing It on Kobo. And all I was trying to do is trying to share stuff that I had been sharing one-on-one with people and trying to help them in a way that can reach people. And got a couple fires in the iron with Dundurn in terms of nonfiction ghost story books. I'm also doing some spin-offs from that. And I've got 2 unfinished novel manuscripts in the works, but I'm also taking some of my backlist stuff and I'm rejigging and re-releasing them in new formats. Like, I'm trying to do almost every format. So audio, print, and ebook.
Yep. For
everything. I've done some online teachable courses as well, and the reason I do that is I do a lot of one-on-one consulting with authors, and I love interacting with authors, and I love learning from them as they learn from me. But oftentimes, I spend an hour session going over stuff with people, and I realize that I could share that information in a way that they can consume on their own time in an easier fashion with less stress. Because some authors, I feel terrible for them because they feel, oh my God, I only have an hour with them. And they're nervous. It's like, not everyone learns the same way. I love learning by talking and interacting with people. Some people learn by listening, to a podcast or whatever. Some people love YouTube videos. So different people learn. Some people prefer books. So as an example, 7 P's of Publishing Success was supposed to be a chapter in a longer book that became way too big for a chapter, and so it's a small book. It is an audiobook now, it's a print book, it's an ebook, and for the very first time here at One Words Collide, I did my very first presentation on that topic. And the presentation is all based on the same principles. It's just a different way of relaying it. And so that is going to also be a lecture, because some people may prefer to read it, some people may prefer to hear the audiobook word for word, some people may want the off-the-cuff lecture that will never be the exact same twice.
Yeah.
Because the audience often...
Absolutely.
Like they ask a question that inspires me to think of something, and that takes me down a path I never would have gotten to on my own. And that's the beauty of a place like this.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, I was going to ask this question.
Yeah.
Do you teach? Because you should.
Thank you. I wanted to be a teacher. My marks were never high enough. I couldn't even get into teachers college.
That's
how I became a bookseller.
Yeah, but
I have taught drama to kids.
I actually, like, this is just an honest assessment. You would be a great teacher if you actually went. I realize you have a lot more on your plate now, so maybe doing this now at this point is a thing.
Investing in children is the best investment we can make.
Absolutely, I do agree with that.
My fiance is a principal, and she is an outstanding teacher and principal.
Yeah, I believe it. Because I can actually literally imagine you in a classroom, and I think you'd be great.
I'm probably a little bit too off the cuff, and I probably wouldn't be able to operate within the guidelines of the board, because I kind of go off. I color outside the lines often, and that might not be good.
Well,
thank you. That's the second nicest thing somebody's ever said to me today.
Yeah, it was the nicest.
No, that's an old Maxwell Smart joke.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Well, no, I could see it. Like you are a gentle guy. I know that, like, when...
Even though I look scary.
Sometimes. You weren't scary Friday night. That was Friday night, you were like, where am I and what am I doing here? And I was good. I wish you'd come to my Stew Soft, though.
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to attend. There's so many things I wanted to be at.
I know.
And I heard it was amazing.
Naomi Davis had me spinning around.
Yeah.
So I said I was the prop. Because my role, and we talked about this a little bit last year about the need of a recess panel. Right. My role, my approach is this. I learned this a long time ago. If you give people permission to have fun, they will.
Yeah.
Right. But in a con like this, or a conference like this, seriousness is important. And I'm certainly not saying you do not want a convention full of what I do.
Yeah.
But one or two of things I like what I do. I think it benefits everybody, because you get so much information, so much overloaded. Yeah. By the time you get to like the end of the afternoon, it's like I need to decompress.
Right.
So here, everybody, listen. You're gonna read Dr. Seuss, and you're gonna perform it, and however you want to perform it. And I'm a prop, and you can do whatever you like to do. So that's what happened. I sat on a chair because I was told to sit in a chair. I got spun around because the name was spin. I started spinning faster. Then she made me try to read the book, right? But the thing was, it serves a vital function,
right?
Because those people came out of there. I think the highlight for me was I had an elderly lady that didn't participate in the game but watched it. She was like, "This made my weekend." Like this.
So you didn't realize, because she got value out of it, even though she didn't have to participate. No, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, that's it. No, I make it optional, because if I make it mandatory, it's not fun.
Yeah.
If I make it optional, like I learned this the first year I did this. Like, who wants to play when the entire room put their hands up? It's like I actually was worried like no one would play.
Yeah.
It was like,
then I'll just play up here and you guys can watch me.
Well, yeah, exactly, right? I was worried about that, right? And then everybody's like, this is not the problem I expected to have. I didn't think everybody would play.
Right.
Now what do I do? Right?
Exactly.
Right. But that's the but so this year I was prepared. So I came up with like a team version of what I did. Next year I'm going to have to come up with another team version. They're never going to let me in that room again. Ever. Ever. Because I know it was loud. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. But so I guess I asked this because I remember last year when we were talking, we mentioned I got some fiction novels I'm hoping to get done.
Yeah.
Are they the same fiction novels that are still not done from last year?
Are they?
I don't know. Are they? You know the answer to that more than me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they are. They are. Now, ironically, I've written short stories in the universe of one of them, so I've been with the character, but I haven't finished those books. And I know there's some underlying reason that I'm not even aware of, probably why.
I'm not gonna psychoanalyze that. It just seems to me it's like for you being.
But I've written 2 other books I wasn't expecting to write.
Exactly. Though actually, this is where I was going to actually get to.
Yeah.
It seems to me at this, like, again, going back to why I think you'd be a great teacher. You seem to be taking more and more the role of a consultant / coach.
Yeah.
Right.
I enjoy helping people, and maybe my satisfaction is in seeing their success.
Yeah.
Rather than I'd rather instruct someone on how to do something than a physician heal thyself.
Yes.
Because it's like, I know I'm giving you this advice, and I haven't done it yet because I'm an idiot. But this is the best thing to do.
Yes.
So,
I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done that too. It's like,
exactly.
This is good advice.
Yeah.
Why aren't you doing it? Because I'm an idiot.
But as you know,
yeah.
A podcast is a lot of time. It's only 45 minutes, it's an hour or whatever. But there's a lot of time to produce. It's a lot of time to edit. It's a lot of time to put the show notes together, to work with sponsors. I mean, it's a lot of
Absolutely.
work. And I love that because I've talked to so many people at this conference who I didn't even realize were listening to my podcast. They went, "Oh, you talked about that 3 weeks ago on this up." And I went, "Wow!" Because again, when you're on stage, you can see the reaction of people, and that's great. You know, you've reached them. In a podcast, you hear from 1% of the audience usually.
Yeah.
And here at When Words Collide, I've had so many people refer, "Oh yeah, you talked about that," and I went, "Oh, I didn't even know you listened to it."
Well,
it's interesting.
It's scary because you're like, wow, like last year was the first time I was approached by a complete stranger. I love your podcast. It's like, thank you. And then this year for me it was actually Kat Flannery. Ironically enough, she contacted me herself and asked to be interviewed. It was like,
Yeah.
Okay, sure, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I've never had that happen before. I've had authors ask me to be interviewed, but no one of that caliber.
Magnitude.
Yeah, no one of that caliber, and it was just like, wow.
Yeah, but she's so down to earth.
No, actually, the advice I actually gave her, I gave her an interesting piece of advice. About the fact that, like, because again, one of the other things about being successful is you struggle with is the ego.
Right, yeah.
The ego is, it's a tough one because you need it. Because the thing is it protects you sometimes against, I'll tell you what I actually fear most about success.
Okay.
Fame.
The most what?
Fame. I fear about success the most.
You
is
fear fame. Okay.
And not because I'm actually like, I go down this path, I'll become more well known. That's just the reality of what I'm doing. But fame is a pain in the ass. You lose certain privileges. You
lose your anonymity.
Yeah, exactly. You do.
I can't just sit at the bar and have a burger and read a book.
Yeah, I can't do that anymore. But that's where the ego comes in. Your ego can kind of protect you a little bit from that, right? And I think the big thing is really successful people have really big egos, right? And it's healthy. I think it's actually a requirement. And with her, she's like, I'm very down to earth, and we were talking a little bit about her issues with the ego. I just said, honestly, it's okay. You're awesome, and it's okay to have enough of the ego to say, I've done amazing things.
Right.
Right. But no, she was literally, I think, one of the coolest people I've met this weekend. I've met a lot of wonderful people this weekend, and I always do when I go to a con like this. Who did you meet for the first time that actually blew you away?
What? Like only one? No. I'm terrible with names. That's one of the challenges. So it's kind of like, that person that I had a conversation with, and they just inspired something in me that day, and they don't even realize.
Okay, how about this? You don't need a name.
Yeah.
But a story. Like a story, just an interaction you had that really shocked you.
Yeah, I know. And I'm gonna draw a blank. There were a couple people I worked with last night in Fort Building. I'd never participated in Fort Building before. And they were the most dedicated engineers and committed to the success of a joint effort. And I felt such a team camaraderie with them. And we had never worked together before. We just kind of met. and it felt like we had accomplished something that we couldn't have done separately.
Yes.
And that was, and again, because I think I know their names, but I can't,
Yeah.
right? But that was something that was really, really important.
Yes.
Was we came together with a common goal we didn't realize we had earlier, and we didn't even know we were going to be working together on it, but we made something happen. And that's the beauty of serendipity in a place like this.
Absolutely.
You and I met how many years ago?
2 years ago, as of this point, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, we both benefited from knowing each other and from the fact, I mean, you're a very happy, gregarious sort of, you seem to be willing to just, to be friends with people and to be engaged with folks. And that helps inject enthusiasm. It's contagious enthusiasm,
Yeah.
which is great, because especially at the time of day we are right now, and most of us haven't gotten much sleep. That's this burst of adrenaline that is
You needed to get to the finish line at this point.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's so many of those little relationships that benefit your day.
Yes.
I mean, it's the small things. It's passing someone in the hallway who said, "Oh my God, I can't believe that presentation," and I was like, "Well, thank you. You have no idea how much that means to hear that I actually helped you in some way. That there was you found something, whether it was a joke I said or whether it was something useful."
Well, but I'm. Can I say something as a friend to you?
Yes.
I think you're selling yourself just a touch short.
That's okay.
No. I think I made you.
She's like, oh, that sounds good.
Oh, hello. I think. Bye.
Good to see you again.
We'll see you. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so a little bit of a vibe I picked up, I think, in the conversation. I think have I made you a little nervous in this conversation a little bit?
Not really.
No, okay. No, I just felt like. No, the only reason I bring this up is because every time
You didn't ask about my hemorrhoids, right?
No, that was very, very embarrassing.
Yeah.
The only reason and maybe off the air, but not on the air.
Okay,
that did not happen, ladies. It'll never happen. But no, I bring this up because I've noticed this when I've said very, very, very nice things about you. There's that little bit of wow, right, and
yeah.
right.
But I think a little bit of humility is good, especially for your ego, that you don't get too cocky.
No. I agree, and I'm not saying that. It's just like where I feel you're selling yourself a little short. I've watched for me personally. You were literally my first panel. I had no idea what the hell I was doing up there, and it was like you made my life the first time around easy and gave me the confidence where everything I've done since. It's like I can't screw up. I've seen it done, and it was very beneficial to have you there, especially something that, and especially a topic I was not as familiar with, and I'll be honest with
as you are now.
Yeah, as I am now, one, and number two, as all those other panelists there, because they were all good, right? I almost felt like the odd person out, but you, I think it was Fabula and Brent and Brenda. You guys all helped me get through that in a really good way, and I really, really appreciated that, and the knowledge you passed on. And then also just the fact that, like I said, I know you've been very beneficial to everybody. Just get my books out, had all the publishing do's and don'ts. I just think every time your contributions here, I think you give a lot more than what we're saying here. We haven't even talked about your show yet, because your show is on YouTube is damn cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is damn cool. You take it one step further than what I do, because I don't do video, because I figure I have a face for radio. That's kind of how it works for me. But also you've had some great guests, like doing all the conventions you do, and it's also you go to a lot of neat places.
I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate that I get to hang out with so many amazing people. I want to go back to the panel that you and I were on together.
Yeah. And
I know I'm pretty confident that you have done the same thing for other people.
Oh yeah.
And that's what we do.
Yeah.
We come in and we recognize. I had an author approach me, and she handed me a business card And I looked at it and it said writer in progress. And I said, what are you talking about? You are a writer. You're not an up and coming.
Oh, I've seen that. Actually, I've seen that part. Yeah.
And I feel like, yeah, I understand, but you need to believe in yourself because that's where you set the stage. You are a writer.
Yeah.
Whether you haven't published yet or whether you've only written out one word or two words or the title, you're a writer. And I need to believe in you and you need to believe in yourself. And the same thing. That was your first panel about podcasting, and you knew stuff about podcasting, and you had information to share. What we needed to do was just give you just enough confidence so that we could get that good information. So we weren't worried about the nervousness. We were more worried about what cool thing does Josh know that I can learn from him.
Yes, exactly. And
that's the thing.
And vice versa. When I go to it, when I'm on a panel, and I know I'm more comfortable with the subject matter than the people around me, it's like, okay, what softball can I throw, right? That slow ball I can throw that can actually, they can just hit out of the park.
Demonstrates their home run.
Yeah, that demonstrates the home run, because it's not always about, it's not just about me, it's about all the panelists that are up there.
Yeah.
We all look good, right? We all look good.
We're a team.
We're a team, right?
And they're there to benefit from us.
Exactly.
And I think my approach to things is I would rather do everything I can to prop the people around me up because I know that that's what we do for one another. It's an inherent thing.
Yeah.
And it's not out of reciprocity and it's not out of any other reason that if I help you share something valuable, not only are the people in the room going to benefit from that, but I'm going to benefit from it, right? And so that's why we prop each other up, and that's why we do what we can to support each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what's coming up for you? What's coming up for you after this?
I go to Oklahoma City. I'm with Draft to Digital for a week. I'm in the office there. We have an open house for writers. WriterCon is there in Oklahoma City. Then Novelist Inc. in Florida. And the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, I'm presenting, and I'm also there in London, Ontario. I'm a member of that. And and then I'm teaching a business masterclass in Vegas with Dean Wesley Smith and Christine Catherine Rush. I can't believe I get to hang out with them. I'm still the fanboy.
Me and Dean actually were on a panel together. He was the moderator at Creative
That's
Inc.
Awesome.
So we bonded over Fantastic Four.
Of course you did.
He's so cool.
I'm guest editing an issue of Pulp House. I can't believe Dean gave me that honor. And then Superstars Writing Seminars in February, which is very much on par with When Words Collide in terms of that family feeling.
Yeah.
Of connectivity.
Where's Superstars located?
It's in Colorado City.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And that's Kevin J. Anderson and folks are part of that one. And I've been a guest instructor there for 6 years. They can't get rid of me. I love it too much. I keep coming back. Kind of like When Words Collide. I'm gonna have to do something really bad to offend people before they get rid of me here.
Yeah. Well, I got to face the music for the Sioux Stop at some point today. I'm sure they're gonna come get me and say, Josh, you were too loud. It's like, yeah.
Well, Josh, thanks so much for.
Absolutely. Before we finish.
Yeah.
Book-wise, because you finished 2 nonfiction books, plug your most recent book and how people can find you, and then we'll call it an interview.
Well, I think the 7 Ps of publishing success.
Okay.
It's available in print, ebook, and audio. 2 versions: cheap 99-cent computer synth version, or a full price $6 me reading it. And that one I like, whether you're traditionally published or self-published. I think there's some value for writers in that.
Absolutely. All right. And how can people find you?
MarkLeslie.ca.
All right.
This episode of Just Joshing is sponsored by Indie Imprint. Indie Imprint supports creators by creators. Whether you are writing a book or creating a video game, Indie Imprint works with its clients to produce, edit, and present their projects to the world. For more information, check out their website at www.indieimprint.com.
And that was my conversation with Mark Leslie. Mark, thanks for coming on my show. You're always great. Check out Mark's own video podcast on his channel, Mark Leslie. Also, if you are a writer trying to figure out your best approach to the industry in any way, shape, or form, this is a man worth having a conversation with. I would totally suggest you do so. Mark, as I said, is one of the sharpest guys in the biz, and his what he can teach you is incredible. He's an amazing teacher. He's also a really good writer. So Mark, thanks for coming on my show, and thanks for help making it what it is. I appreciate you being here. So what I've been quietly doing, or not so quietly doing this year, is I have made it a point to show up in places where I kind of least expect them. And I'm going to be doing a few more of this week. This Wednesday, I'm going to be doing an open mic. Well, when this airs, I've already done it. And this Thursday, Halloween, this will be airing November 1st in the new location, I'm going to probably crash a couple other things too. It's going to be fun. I'm kind of on my last week, so I'm kind of taking this week as a chance to do some final things I've kind of wanted to do for a while, and because, you know, you do the things that are important to you now, because you don't want regrets there. I'm one of those guys that if you have a regret, they eat at me. They just really, really do, and they've always have. One of my goals in this life is to have no regrets. We'll see how far I get, but I always felt that was a worthy goal. Anyway, that'll do it for this episode of Just Joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so in a number of different ways. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podomatic, and more. Find me, review me, share it, pass it along. Support my sponsors, IndieImprint.com. Listen, Get Your Ass to Mars will be released by the time this episode airs. The Dragon Edition is available on Steam and your PC. Check out IndieImprint.com for more information. It is an amazing game. If you love simulations, this is about as good as it gets. I promise you, it'll be a blast. Definitely check them out. My books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wanderer God, Mirror Publishing. My YouTube channel is Joshua Penteloresco. Subscribe there if you want to see past episodes. Also, my Instagram and Twitter is at jpenteloresco. Thanks for listening. Stay inspired, and I'll talk to you soon.
Josh.